Hi, I'm Janelle Molony. I'm at the junction of La Creek and the North Platte River, currently on the grounds of Fort Fetterman, a division of Wyoming State Parks and Cultural Resources. And while I'm here, I want to point out the lush green farmland behind me, which would have been a little bit of a floodplain on the Platte River back in 1864. And we can actually sort of view where the Overland-California Trail was going in 1864. They would be coming down from McKinstry Ridge and then around the bend and heading towards Deer Creek Garrison in present-day Glen Rock. And while we're here, I wanted to mention there's a special family that was camped there or briefly stopped there on July 13, 1864. And you might know them already. It's the family of John Brown. You know, John Brown's body lies a-moldering in the grave. That guy, the guy who was an underground engineer in the Underground Railroad, and he took slaves from the South all the way up through Canada. Oh, he's also the guy that initiated and coordinated Harper's Ferry siege. So good, bad, right? But his family, after Harper's Ferry siege, was being persecuted and oppressed in New York, and they said, we got to get out of here. So they were coming through Wyoming on their way to California in 1864, and they knew nothing about the Platte River raids starting on July 12 and 13 because they were coming up and over these ridges, which would have been a very difficult place to attack anyone. So they were not vulnerable to attacks the first 2 days. But as they came down into this wonderful floodplain, they gathered up with a ton of other people who had just been attacked. Some people died, and they were rallying together for safety. Well, while they came down, they also ran into a party of Missourians. And I don't know who these Missourians are, other than they are called rebels, Southern sympathizers, Confederates, and a whole bunch of other names, except their actual names. Well, they gathered together for safety, and the Missourians and a family of the Howards said, we have enough people now, let's go ahead and move on. And others that were gathered here said, no, we're not going to. So the Browns decided, we'll go with them. We've got plenty of people ready and willing to fight if we need to fight. So they decided to leave that night of the 13th, and they had barely just left this large gathering to go a couple of miles to the west, where they met a fierce army of Plains warriors. And they had a special encounter with them together with those Missourians and the Howard family. If only they had stayed put, maybe they would have been spared that event. But it is what it is. Fun fact, after the Platte River raids, those same Missourians and the Howard family that were with them and actually protected them by sheer force, when they found out that the 3 wagons belonging to the family of John Brown were with them, those Missourians got it in their head that they were going to take out some Wild West justice and punishing them in a very, very sad way. And so from that point on, once they discovered who they were and their identity, they were chasing the family of John Brown through the rest of Wyoming and into Idaho territory, or Idaho proper at that point, until the Browns could get to safety. So my goodness, from savior to predator in just a matter of days. If you want to know more about that, I'll put some details in with the video comments or the descriptions, so you can learn more about what happened in those few days out there on the trail. Thanks for joining me.